Life changes in an instant, and my instant was May 30th, 2009. My husband and I were out on a motorcycle ride, taking care of a widow, and stopped at a stoplight. I looked up, the light changed. He went out ahead of me as usual, and a truck broadsided him. That was my moment of instant change in my life. What I have learned over the last 15 years has been invaluable, and I want to share that with as many people as possible. I have become a widow advocate, and I want to share some information about what helped me through this journey, some of the experiences that I have talked with so many widows about their personal experience, and just give you an idea of how this might impact or change what you're thinking about in your life. It might be interesting for you to know that 70% of married women will be widowed. And actually, the United States has the third largest widow population in the world. 2,800 women every day in the United States will become widowed. Amazing statistics that until you're faced with them, it's hard to imagine. And did you know that 59 years of age is the average age of a widow in the United States? Not what people generally think of, for sure. So I say all that to just share my story and part of my journey. I am a different person than I was 15 years ago. My one daughter says that Dad died and Mom came alive. But that is a choice. And it's a choice every day about resilience and empowerment and choices and what we choose to do with our lives. At one point, my daughter asked me about what I would recommend to people on a widowhood journey as far as self-care. And I'd like to share those points with you. Number one, I said to find a tribe. Don't try to do this alone. Find a widow group. I'll tell you more about that later, about the one that I found. But just don't try to take this journey alone. Number two, do it anyway. If you don't feel like it, move, sing, pray, worship, talk to friends. You don't always feel like it, for sure. Number three, pay attention to your body. We know the body keeps score. Many women, this becomes a health issue. Widowhood is a women's health issue because for many women, might have been taking care of their husband for a long period of time at the sacrifice of their own health. After you lose someone, you lose the motivation to maybe continue good health habits, eating, exercising, and taking care of yourself. So pay attention to your body. There's no right way or wrong way to do this. Each of us have our own individual grief journey. And I'm hoping for you, as for me, that it was grief to growth. You will find joy again. That can be hard to imagine in the beginning, but it's baby steps, and sometimes a couple steps backward before you take steps forward. But you will find joy. Find it in gratitude and small things. That's one of the best ways I have found, is to help someone else, whatever you're doing, and be grateful for all the blessings that you do have. Manage your own expectations. There are so many ups and downs to this, and learning to say no to things and trying to avoid all the I shoulds, because this is an unknown path that you've never been on before, and so give yourself grace. As far as widows with children, and you can imagine at age 59 that there are many younger widows. 76% of women will be widowed between the age of 30 and 67. So there are a lot of young widows, and that presents an extra challenge when you still have children at home, the best way to take care of your children is to take care of yourself first. You know what the airlines say about putting the oxygen mask on yourself first. Until you're able to really take care of yourself, you can't give away what you don't have. So that would be a recommendation. Self-care is not selfish. Some of us might have gone into this thinking that any kind of self-care is a selfish act, and I beg to differ with that. It's not selfish, and it might be hard for you to realize that and move forward. But do it honestly. Grief tends to open up grieving that you have failed to do for other situations in your life. Once that grief starts opening up, it might seem out of control or more than you expected, but understand that you might be grieving other losses in your life that you had failed to grieve in the past. And number 10, widows lose their identity. Think of what might still be true in your life. I remember for myself, it was like I was still a parent, but I was now a single parent. There are so many secondary losses in widowhood that aren't recognized, and to try to find those things that you can identify that you still are. And for me, because of my faith background, I knew I was still a child of God. But at that point, that was about the only thing that seemed the same in my identity. So I've talked to you about statistics. Some of the shocking statistics only helps us as women recognize that we need to be talking about this more. I was not prepared for this. One of the biggest areas for many of the widows that I have spoken with has been a financial situation. Suddenly their income is cut in half or more, and yet their household expenses continue at the same rate. You are thrown into a different tax bracket, and not prepared for those kinds of things. That's why I think it's important for young couples and women in general to make sure that they know about the finances. I've spoken and been around many couples where the husband says, "I've got it all taken care of. She has nothing to worry about." The problem with that is that she doesn't know. She doesn't know passwords. She doesn't know where all insurance policies are, or if there are insurance policies. She doesn't know how to run the basic maintenance things in the home. What happens, if the furnace goes out? What happens if the toilet overflows? Where do I turn the water off? Basic things that we divide up responsibilities in marriages often, and don't think to share those needs and those pieces of education with one another. So suddenly a woman is thrown into making 100 or more incredible decisions, important decisions, in a short period of time that she's not prepared for, in a time when she's in deep grief and loss and brain fog. Brain fog is a true symptom after grief, that it's just hard to have self-confidence and collect your thoughts and things like that. So just having an opportunity to have a tribe of other women that through all of these stages you can talk to and explain those things to one another, it's very comforting to know that you're not alone in this, and that you're not going crazy, but this is part of the process, and you will survive. 58% of loss is sudden loss, such as mine with the motorcycle accident, where I think one of the myths that we find ourselves challenging is that, widows are elderly women that, they've lost their elderly husband. Those are not true, and it's frequently not after a long loss. Unfortunately, a sudden loss adds complications to what might be a longer extended disease process. And yet none of us want to give up hope. So it's often felt very similar when you have a long-term disease, and then once your spouse passes, it does feel sudden, even though you have been facing this for a long period of time. Secondary losses are something that I think people are not aware of. When you think about a widow, and most people that I talk to, if I ask them if they know a widow, they can name someone that they know, a mother, a grandmother, an aunt, a friend. That this is not something that's going to go away or change. It's not going to be a problem that we're going to fix. It's a life event that we all need to acknowledge and face, and learn to help widows and acknowledge that. Widows are women of fulfilled marriages, promise made, promise kept, and promise honored. And so when you think of a widow, I would just ask you to acknowledge her as a woman of a fulfilled marriage. There's so much strength and resilience that we can learn from so many widows. There are books and things out there that you may know, strong women that you had no idea that they were widowed, but because of their own experience, they were able to build on that experience and become very committed and contributing individuals of society. Many of the philanthropies that are out there have been women that have started those after their husbands have passed away. So just keep your eyes open for things like that. 9 years into my widowhood, I found an organization called Modern Widows Club. I'm wearing our shirt. It was started in 2012 by Carolyn Moore in Winter Park, Florida. She was 37 and she had lost her husband to a car accident and had a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. And she was in search of other widows to help her through this journey. Unfortunately, she was unable to find women her own age, and with her experience, to talk about this and to try to walk through this journey. So she found a couple of friends that were widowed and invited them into her home. They met once a month. They invited 2 more and 2 more and 2 more till today it's an organization of over 50,000 widows throughout the world. Actually, we're in several countries, but there are chapters throughout the United States, and it is really a women's health organization, acknowledging all the health issues. We are one of the only organizations that are doing research about widowhood and the impact on a woman's health. Mental health, isolation, a lot of those kinds of things have never been tested, have never been researched. So a woman would go to a doctor and start sharing about physical ailments and depression, and it's not identified that much of this is due to their feeling of isolation and identity issues. I hope that you have a chance to look up Modern Widows Club. We say we're stronger together. We do in-person and virtual groups. We have clubs and activities. We have a travel club that is very successful. We have e-courses, educational videos, mentoring programs, many opportunities that women can gather together and feel the support of one another and total understanding. So, sorry about my crow.
Any advices you can give to the families of the widows, the children, the grandchildren?
Yes, actually, our organization has acknowledged daughters of widows because they've lost a father and they can see that they may be facing this someday and have watched their mother walk through this. So we actually have on the bottom of the first page of our website, it says, "Are you a widow supporter?" There's a newsletter that you can sign up for to help people know how best to help widows. I work with church organizations and other civic organizations to, first of all, try to get funding and financing, but if, like in faith-based communities, if their men's organizations could come together with these widows and help them with, I need to buy a car, I don't know what to do. I've got a plumbing issue. I need somebody that I can trust to help me make these kinds of decisions that they would have looked to their husband in the past. Or just youth groups doing bake sales or helping clean a yard, things like that. There's so much that in trying to keep a household up after that loss of that partner that really the community could come around and help so much with. Some of the secondary losses you might not have thought of. It's loss of a general sense of security, loss of income, loss of identity, loss of health, loss of dreams for the future, loss of best friend, loss of faith, loss of confidence, loss of social status, loss of a home many times, loss of intimacy, loss of a job, loss of financial security, loss of a working memory, loss of a support system, loss of a parenting partner, loss of income. So it's not only just the loss of this individual, but so many more areas of your life that are impacted and affected.
And can you touch just a little bit about dating and how it could be unsafe and so many people get ran widows because they want nobility?
Yes, that's a big issue on our websites and on our Facebook pages. We have private Facebook pages because we have scammers that are trying to infiltrate and access our widows continually. So we talk to our members about that very openly. We also have a dating club, but what we do there is just to help the woman prepare in her own mind if she should ever seek to repartner, that she understands fully her values, what's safe, how she can protect herself in those situations, and date safely. Again, you're in an environment where you can share with other women their experiences and learn from that. Because there are too many stories out there of like a website where you'll identify yourself as a widow and then you get targeted financially or emotionally, for sure.
Thank you. That was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.